everybody has a critical moment in their life, and for me it was when I was age 10, and I went to the local elementary school. It was very mixed, and every Friday afternoon we would gather together as a class, sit in a circle, and the teacher would bring into the middle of the circle all the people who'd done well during the course of the week, and they would get gold stars, and I always tried to get a gold star. But also he would bring into the middle anyone who had misbehaved, and they would get the ruler or the cane. And every Friday afternoon there was one boy who used to get the cane because he'd misbehaved, and he'd misbehaved because he hadn't done his work. And I always thought that was wrong. I always felt uncomfortable, but I didn't know why I felt uncomfortable. And then I began to realize that he simply could not do the work. And I think that developed in myself a sense of social justice, a sense of right or wrong. I wanted to do something about this. And that's when I vowed I was going to be a teacher. And all my working life, I have developed schemes, curricula, professional development programs to work with teachers so they are enhancing their knowledge of the student in the classroom. So every student has the opportunity to develop their own learning styles by having a differentiated curriculum. As a teacher, I can sometimes design a test, and that test might have 10 questions on it. And I can be sure that the students are going to answer those test questions correctly because I know I've emphasized the particular answers, and they'll get 10 out of 10. I can also design a test and give it to the same students on the same topics that I've been teaching. My questions might be so difficult or not very well phrased that the same students can get 0, not score at all. Now, if you just look at that hard data, and you look at one class that got 0 and the other class has got 10, you will assume that the 10 out of 10 children are cleverer. Now, at the present moment, that's what we're trying to do in the US. If you assume that one state is the state that's got 0 and the other state's got 10, because they're being assessed on different types of tests, there's no standardization. And what No Child Left Behind has tried to do is to increase the standardization within the states so you can ensure that all students are having a quality education. It also helps with perhaps the school down the road has got a good reputation. It's known as being a good school. But suddenly under No Child Left Behind, you realize there's a group of students in that school who are not making any progress at all. Now, that is not a good school. It's a coasting school, but it's not a good school. And so No Child Left Behind is benefiting a certain strata of the population. Yes, some people might think it's restricting, but at the same time, it's raising the bar. It's telling teachers this is what you've got to aim for. And often teachers didn't have targets for which to aim for. In the UK in 1988, we had the Education Reform Act. The Education Reform Act brought in a national curriculum. It brought in standards. It brought in standardized testing. Many veteran teachers, and myself included, were not very happy because suddenly someone was telling us how we had to teach in our classrooms. And we've been used to having a lot of freedom within our classroom. So it seemed very restricting. Nobody likes change because you're going to have to change how you prepare your lessons, how you teach your lessons, how you grade your lessons, how you as a teacher are assessed. And suddenly accountability becomes a word that you do not like very much, because not only are you accountable to the students, you're accountable to the parents and to the school district, and ultimately your pay might be dependent on your student grades. So there is lots of reasons to be suspicious of No Child Left Behind. But if we go back to the example in the UK, I mean, we're talking about now 20 years ago. So it's almost like there's a train, and in the UK, the train, the standardization model, the train has gone down the tunnel. Schools that have been proved to be very successful are now having over 90% of their budget delegated out to the school site. They're being left very much to their own devices to develop a culture within that school that is academically oriented, but also develops the whole child. My feeling is that eventually No Child Left Behind is going to be like that. It is not going to go away. It's not going to suddenly disappear. It's going to change. It's going to evolve, but it's going to benefit students. It might not seem at the moment to be benefiting teachers, but my belief is that it's going to greatly benefit students, and ultimately it's going to benefit population at large. Well, the major challenges at the moment are the fact that we're dealing with a very diverse population, and we're also dealing with the fact that many very well trained teachers and principals come from the baby boomer era. They are leaving the profession. They are retiring. And as a consequence, we've got some extremely good young principals and teachers, but also we've got some who are in the classroom who've got very, very little experience in relation to how students develop physically, intellectually and emotionally, and that is not good for our students. We have a shortage in the area of special education teachers, we've got a shortage in the area of math teachers, we have a shortage in the area of science teachers, and all that is fundamental to a student's education. We're really excited here at the College of Education because we've been invited to join the Carnegie Foundation on their project for developing a new EDD. The reason for the excitement is that there are 28 universities at the moment working with the Carnegie Foundation. 27 Division A research universities and LYNN. Now we're the only private liberal arts institution working with the Carnegie Foundation, and as a consequence we have got a really important role to play because we can talk to the research universities, because most of us within this faculty have been not only teachers, but we've been teachers at a senior level. We've been the special education teachers, we've been the counsellors, we've been the principals, we've been the superintendents. So we've actually got the practice as well as most of the research knowledge that's required. So in developing this new EDD, we are very much making sure that it's innovative and that it's authentic, so that a potential student who would like to come on to our program knows that whatever they do, it's going to involve problem-based instruction, that through this problem-based instruction they are going to be looking at problems that have been identified in their school, in their school district, or at a state level. Now this program is really for potential school superintendents, school administrators, or even principals, but within Florida, because it's going to be delivered probably on a Friday evening, on a Saturday, with some support online, but it's not going to be an online program.